Good evening. I hope you're all doing well out there with your vaping, and I enjoy your comments and your emails so much. Just keep them coming in. It just brightens up my day to hear from you. But today we're going to be talking about something that can happen both with your Protanks and with your Protank Minis. Now, I've had mine for about a month now, and I had something happen to one of mine, and this can happen with your classic Protank as well as with your Protank Mini. Now, I vape strong e-liquids, and they are very caustic. And one of them is straight cinnamon oil. Very little PG or VG in it, mostly cinnamon oil. And it's my own personal choice to do so. But what it does is it will separate the glue that's in these tanks, and the tank actually will come apart. Now, this can happen both with your Protank and with your Mini Protank. Now, I actually had one come apart on me, and this is what it looks like when it comes apart. Here's the base. I've got the atomizer removed. That normally sits in here. And then I've got the glass tank. Now, around the top here, I have cleaned away all of the excess glue. Now, how we're going to fix this is we're going to use jewelry glue. We're going to take that glue and we're going to put it, I'm just going to use a pair of tweezers here. You've got quite a bit of time until it glues, but you can see I've got a pretty good gob of glue there. But I'm just going to lay a bead of it around the edge of the glass. We don't want it oozing out the sides. This stuff is pretty hard to clean up. So I'm just going to flatten out the glue along the edge and take off any of the excess. Just peel it off and have a paper towel handy. Don't do like I'm doing, work over your computer keyboard and get this in the keys. You know, do what Terry says, not what Terry does. And I'm just wiping off the extra there. The whole idea is to leave enough glue on it so that it doesn't ooze out around the edge. You're going to get a little of it on there, but if you do, you can just take a say a 1200 grit sandpaper and it will come right off. But I'm trying to avoid that this time because sometimes you can take off the finish a little bit on the metal, and I don't want to do that. So we're getting to the point now to where it's just enough to do the job. Okay. Just a nice skin around the edge, not too gobby or anything like that. And I see there's a gob there that I'm going to take off. And try to get it around the top of the upper rim because it will squeeze down once you put the two pieces together. And of course I've cleaned off both pieces, all the residue glue from the other type, and I just use a pocket knife. Now I'm just going to slide this over the top of the other one and turn it so I get a nice even seal, and I'll let it sit for a second, and then you can see there's just a tiny little bubble of it coming up around the edge, so I'm just going to take my finger and go around the edge and wipe that off. Now, I've done this with the leaky Protanks. I got a few of those when they first came out. And I actually, in that case, just put a little bead around the edge. And I've got glue on my fingertip. Put it around the edge and then wiped it off and sanded it down with the 2000 grit sandpaper. And I do have a little residue. So I'll just grab my 2000 grit sandpaper after this dries and just run it around a couple of times, and it'll take off that little trace of glue that's left, and no one will ever know that you repaired it. The jewelry glue sets up within about, within a half an hour, and it's made to bond glass to metal. It bonds stones to metal, that type of thing. So really you shouldn't have any more problems with it. It should stay forever then. But if it doesn't, you just take it apart, clean it up, and do it again. It's all a part of doing your vaping routines and taking care of your equipment. Because a piece like this, if you're replacing the atomizers, it should last you a lifetime. It's metal, it's glass, glue's cheap. But you know, little things like this happen with tanks, and it's nothing to panic about. So just take your time and try to fix it. It's certainly not going to hurt you, and it certainly isn't going to hurt the tank as long as you're not dropping it or breaking it or things like that. A couple other warnings: don't be putting them in your pockets, these mini Protanks. The glass is much thinner, and there have been instances of them breaking in pockets. And of course, purses, always have them in a holder. Put them in, make a little leather pouch, buy a little ditty bag to put them in, so that they're not being jostled around with your keys and things like that. And that goes for your Kanger batteries or any other kind of batteries too. Never throw them in with change or metal or anything. It's just not worth taking a chance. The chance is slight, but it's slight enough. So here we are with our tank. It's drying. We'll leave that till tomorrow, and we'll be back vaping again. So I hope you've learned something tonight. It's very simple, very easy to do. And don't give up, and don't count your Protanks out that have glue on them and your mini Protanks with glue on them yet. They're wonderful products. Nothing is perfect, and they're easily repaired. So it's still a lot less fuss and bother than some of the things that are out there. Now, in the tank that I don't do caustic fluids in, I've had absolutely no problem. I've been doing cola in this one for months, and it's held together very nicely. I haven't had any kind of problems at all. So you can, you know, these will last forever. Oh, and I do have the mini Protanks in my shop too, and they're only $14.99. So, and I do have a coupon special for you if you go there. So go in and get you some. They're wonderful. Have a good evening. Good night. Thank you for not smoking.